Hey everyone, it's Rob Golfi here with REMAX, the Golfi team. I got Conrad Zerini here with REMAX Escarpment, REMAX Niagara, big broker of Ontario. And I got Brian Hogbin right here, Mission 35 Mortgages. He's right beside me. We had to squeeze tight in here and so that we could fit in the frame. But we're going to talk about a couple of things here. What does it mean, the Bank of Canada interest rate announcement mean for the Canadian real estate market? And we're going to talk about, realtors, sometimes they sign on behalf of the client and the client knows about it, but then all of a sudden they change their mind after they bought the house and it gets kind of funny and ugly. So question, let's get right down to it. Okay. It was a couple weeks ago or last week. We predicted. I thought for sure they do a half a point. You said a quarter point.
I said the quarter.
You played it safe. I played
the safe.
You know what? Can you imagine if they did say a half a point? I think Conrad, you were kind of you were on the fence. You were a little bit of a half point too.
Yeah, I was half. Yeah.
It would have been nice if it went half a point. We could have showed this guy. But anyway, quarter point. I'll tell you. It couldn't come at a better time, to tell you the truth. Like the confidence level, I feel good about it. It feels like this is like, okay, we're on track now. Like it's like the path looks good. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I feel good about it. It would have been nice if it was a half a point because it was. I think it would have brought things a lot, brighten things up for people buying in the market. We'll find out probably next week because all the kids are school. Everything's back to normal starting next week. Like Brian, you're the mortgage guy. What do you think?
Well, I think, we're going to see a quarter point in October again as well, too. We'll see it at the beginning of December as well. And you know what? When you look at things, too, I was researching interest rate cycles, okay? And the average drop cycle, you know how long the average cycle lasts when they're dropping interest rates? Between 12 and 24 months, right?
Wow.
Between 1 to 2 years. There's only been 3 times in the past 50 years where a drop cycle has lasted longer than 3 years. The first one was in the 80s, but rates started, it was in 1981. Rates started at 20%.
That was heavy.
So rates started at 20%. So to see a 5-year drop cycle makes sense. Next one was in the 90s.
Yeah.
That was another one, but rates started again at 13%.
Yeah.
Right. So when you see these really long drop cycles, rates were higher. The only other one which was similar was early 2000s, like 2001. We saw a drop cycle last just over 3 to 4 years, but rates started 1 point higher than where we peaked at. So I think we're going to be in for at least a 12-month, probably 18-month, maybe 24-month rate drop. I don't know if it's going to be much longer than that, though.
No,
I do think we're going to be seeing more cuts coming this year, and we'll probably be seeing more cuts coming next year as well, too.
Wow. Yeah. I hope so. I mean, I think they need to do something. The developers and builders out there, I mean, they need to start building, and they're not really building. Like I'm reading conflicting stories out there, Conrad. You know this better because you know all the builders out there. You deal with them. So like they're saying that they've met targets in certain areas. Is that is that bullshit or what is that?
No, they have. Like, Windsor and London, they've done some met some targets and things like that.
Yeah, but are they talking about condos? Because like I mean, it's easy to put a 300 units in one building, you know what I mean? Like, but are they're not talking about townhouses and detaches and semis and stuff like that. They're talking about the condos. The
mid-rise apartments, rental, that's what they're talking about. Those units. But what they all say is one thing. It's all about the market. There's no market. So you can have all the targets in the world. There's just no market. Yeah.
So I don't know, and we haven't seen the any flurry of any activity just yet because of the announcement. I think
we're seeing
September, October, and part of November. I think we're going to see. I predict it should be good for business.
I think it will on our side. Fortunately, like the renewal tsunami that we had talked about, 12, 18 months ago, we're starting to see it now. Like our phones are ringing. It is quite busy now. And it's interesting. A lot of people are renewing. There aren't a lot of people that are in the payment shock. A lot of people really understood that, you know what? I know my payment's going to go up. And they're still in a good equity position, especially those people that we're talking about that bought 5 years ago. You got to think, you bought in 2020. Even though the market's dropped, you would have paid off a truckload of principal and your property's still worth a heck of a lot more when you bought it.
Well,
so
you were talking about this, I think last week or the week before, Conrad, that people thought that if they have an interest rate on their mortgage at 1.5% to 2%, and it's 4.5%, 5%, that their mortgage payments were going to more than double it, and it wasn't. It is not the case.
It's not.
Yeah.
No,
it's not.
So,
and the other thing is they're going with 30-year AMs, which also helps it too. A little bit here, a little bit there. I think they're really surprised that they can't afford it. They're going to stay in their place, or they're going to move up. But we've seen August. Our August numbers are stellar. We beat 2021 numbers.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, you know what? I did too. Like I go by written deals on my books. But July was terrible for me. June was fantastic. So I don't know. Like sometimes, 2 different months, like maybe because we had a lot in the oven working, and that's why we had such a good June. But then July, we sold everything in June that we had to rebuild our inventory or buyers and sellers. But yeah, so August, I wasn't happy, but I was okay with it. But July, I was not okay with July's numbers.
Well, you guys are outperforming the market because everybody, Toronto says they were down in August. We'll see our numbers. Our board numbers will be down in August. So you outpaced the market. So that's amazing. That's what you want to do, right?
Well, you got to keep pushing through. I got a lot of advertising to pay, so I got to make sure. I got to make sure I do the business.
It doesn't matter what else is going on.
But the one thing is, so interest rates are great and everything. So the one thing. There was an article in British Columbia, a real estate agent suspended after forging signatures. Now, I got to tell you, this happens more often than you think. It's just, but so I've seen it where, and this is even before DocuSign, but where because agents get lazy, they don't want to drive on the other side of town, get one initial done and come back and hand it in. So they'll just put the initial because maybe they forgot to ask the buyer or seller. They copy the initial and they do it. And so this guy actually forged a signature because he was applying for something in the city or whatever. But this happens in real estate a lot. And like, how often does errors and omissions, or how often does RICO come across this? It must be a lot.
It's funny because it's actually in a bad market, when people get nervous and they're searching for ways to get out, they're looking for that. So it's probably, when we talk about lawsuits, septic and country is a big one. But I would say second is this forgery, or it's not forgery, it's actually they send it. So it's an older couple. They don't know anything. They don't know. They send it to their granddaughter. The granddaughter signs on their behalf.
Oh my God!
It's that kind of stuff, right? Or the actual realtor signing on, setting up a dummy email, and then they don't have email, gets it signed, initialed, and the whole bit. So those are finding their way to the market now, and people are saying, they're trying to get out of deals, and I didn't sign it. So think about if you're a seller, you sell your house, they don't close. The lawsuit's 3 years down the road, and what happens is you sue for damages, and then you find out, well, wait a minute, this offer wasn't valid. The granddaughter signed it, not the actual buyer. So you can't sue them for damages. So it's a real vicious circle.
Do you need a letter from the let's say the buyers or sellers indicating that we're going to use my granddaughter's email address as a signature? Would that fly?
It's never been tested, right? So we don't really know that. But I'll tell you, it's happening all the time. These people are just.
So here's another question: husband and wife, they share the same email. Do you send it to them twice?
Yes.
And that's legitimate. That qualifies both their names. Like it says
they should
Dan
have their
and
own email.
Pardon?
They should have their own email. As far as I'm concerned, they should have their own email.
Yeah.
That's not hard to get, right?
No, but you know what? You'd be like, we're
but you don't know anything
transition.
You don't know anything about the email address though, too, right? If I told you my email address was superman123@hotmail.com, well, that's superman123. Like you don't know that it's Brian Hogben. You don't know.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But it meets the requirements, right? But I think the additional is the fin track that goes along with it and everything else, right? But,
for sure. You know what I tell the agents on my team? I go, guys, listen, if they're over 60 years old, bring a hard copy. Have them sign it in front of there. If you have them do DocuSign on your computer and they're just pressing buttons, I don't think they realize they're signing a document. No, they don't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that's why Treefort is coming to play. And it's going to be commonplace for the legal community, where they're going to have their ID, and then they're going to scan your face, and then they're going to say, that's the person, and then sign, right?
Treefort is causing a lot of problems right now in the private mortgage space. So
is that right? Well, I haven't come across that yet.
So it's almost, I don't know if it's quite mandated yet in the private mortgage space, but many lawyers have adopted it, and so have private lenders. The challenge is that we're the ones that are working out all the bugs for it. So I had an example where I was doing a private mortgage myself, and I had to verify my identity through Treefort, and they link it to the banks. And then because my personal bank card was linked to a business account, my business profile showed up, and then they ended up saying, "You're not verified." I'm like, "I'm Brian Hogben." And it created and they did not have a workaround for it. I was not able to close on that. Eventually we had to go through a tremendous amount of steps to do that. But the Treefort, I think it's a great solution, but there are unfortunately
they got a lot of bugs to work out on.
There's still some things that they're working through.
Yeah. What's the worst case? What's the worst case you've seen that's ever happened on Forgery with realtors?
Yeah, it's I remember in the old days it was like stuff that appliances and things like that, and people would take out an appliance and whatever and hand it over, and then there's an initial. You don't know is the initial for the taking out the appliance or whatever. And we had that quite a bit. Just chattels and pictures that people would mysteriously cross out. They say that's the initial for it, and it always causes controversy.
Yeah, it's tough. I remember the old days. I'll tell you something. There were some realtors I knew. We were doing a deal, and I was sitting in the office, and they needed another signature. So all of a sudden, they got the signature, but they didn't leave the office. I was waiting outside. I go, well,
make it look good.
How did you get that? I go, where's the person? Where did that person show up? And then I'm worried because now I know there's not a real initial on that page where from the like let's say it's the agents representing the seller, and I'm like, you know what, you're praying to God because hopefully, like you said, if the markets are bad, it's a way out of a deal.
Yeah. In a great market, it's that's fine. But the other stuff, we're seeing big ones, like big deals, like million, 2 million.
Wow.
And the other thing is our earned emissions lawyers are telling us that it's the same people over and over again, the same agent. And they're shaking the guy and saying, like, what are you kidding me? Well, I had to get it done. It was time sensitive, and this and that. But over and over again.
Like, does earned emissions cover these guys for that?
Well, yeah. So what happens is every time if you have if it's a 3-year window. So if the actual deal was done within this 3-year window, and if you get another one within the window, your deductible goes higher.
Right.
It doubles each time. So, but they're making big money. So if it's a $100,000 commission and they got a $10,000 deductible, they're not gonna.
They don't care. Right? They don't care. No. Well, the other thing is now with DocuSign, it's GPS. Like if you do it at your house, and meanwhile you do it there, and you're supposed to do it at their house or whatever. It's all documented. Everything's all there. You can't hide. Like,
no.
you know what I'm saying? Like you said, people are, agents are doing that. I mean, it's bad for the industry. I get it. It's not good. I know sometimes agents get lazy. They don't want to go there, especially the elderly. They don't have computers or they don't have email, and you got to drive all the way out there. And the way business is done now, everybody's crossing borders like crossing, GTA agents are coming towards Hamilton, Niagara, and vice versa. And agents are crossing all across Ontario doing deals.
Yeah.
And if you're dealing with an elderly person, you got to get one initial. You're going to drive to Muskoka just to get one initial. You may have to if you want to make sure it goes smoothly. I mean, honestly, we get paid the big bucks. In a way, we should be able to go out there and do it. So
you're right. And make sure that you close all the loopholes and everything. Because, like I said, we had one today where the people said, well, you know what? The house is too small. Well, wait a minute. Like, that had nothing to do with anything. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. They did the home inspection, financing, all good. And then they said, well, the house is too small, but it's too late.
Yeah.
Like, you saw it. Right? You saw it.
Exactly.
So,
Well, guys, our 15 minutes is up. Thanks for being on, guys. Thanks for showing up here, Brian. And we'll see you next week, and we'll catch up. Thanks.